of the rim. Garnett on the slam. Oh, using Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
Very frequently, the most random moments spark video ideas for me. This time, it was learning Jordan Clarkson's recent triple-double was the first regular season triple-double by a member of the Jazz in 16 years. Funny when you consider they had Russ for a split second and what could have happened. Yeah, the stat prompted me to very briefly review some Utah franchise history, because not only are they missing triple doubles, they're missing a championship, they're missing recent long-term success. Hell, they're missing long-term sustained contention practically since the 90s. So stick around, because without going into too much detail, I can more or less sum up around 20 years of Jazz basketball with a few overarching themes. With that being said, I'd like to reiterate the word brief. This is not the Pistons video where I'm going year by year in detail, not necessary here. It really does feel as if the Stockton and Malone Jazz simply disappeared after this shot, vanished into thin air. Jordan held up 6 fingers and Karl Malone was on the Lakers, the end. No, they actually played together for 5 whole years after this, where in the regular season at least, they were kind of successful for a stretch you hear absolutely nothing about. For good reason though, as the tandem essentially proceeded to lose to all the future teams and stars who were on the rise in the West. This includes the early 2000s Trailblazers twice, Dirk and Nash's Mavs, and the Kings twice, who were probably defending champions in 03 through various alternate timelines. Over those 5 years, as mentioned earlier, the win percentage was very acceptable for a tandem in their twilight years. However, the reason you've never even considered those Jazz teams, outside of Jordan erasing them, is due to Stockton and Malone both being about 35 years old at the time of their last finals appearance. If a duo today lost 2 straight finals in their mid-headed to late 30s, you'd fully expect them to be cooked and the team to seek rebuilding. Speaking of the finals, I did want to quickly point out that outside of some very nefarious Karl Malone storylines, I believe the entire franchise's horrid luck moving forward can be traced back to this moment.
Stockton, open three. Good! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
Did you catch it? I didn't either for basically my entire life up until a couple of months ago. On a random day, this play popped up for me and I asked myself upon rewatch, why was Charles Barkley stuck running out to a John Stockton 3? Well, if you take a look at Malone here, he's committing the second most egregious act of his entire life. Possibly the nastiest moving screen in NBA history. Yeah, Clyde Drexler had a few words about it afterwards. Yet it's an infraction almost entirely erased from NBA history, mostly because Jordan proceeded to erase this duo over the next 2 postseasons. Sins were atoned for, except they continued paying for this in my opinion. Rebuilding. That's what Utah did in summer 2003 as Stockton retired, Karl moved on, and the organization leaned into its youth, including Andre Kirilenko. Did you realize he played with both these duos? The second of which were minted by the Jazz, more or less stealing Carlos Boozer from the Cavaliers in a fairly unprecedented manner. Still not all the way clear on how Rob Pelinka pulled this off. I just wish it happened during the social media era. Regardless, with Boozer and Kirilenko in place, the Jazz remained poor enough in 05 to luck into Deron Williams. In nearly no time at all, the successor duo had risen, reaching the conference finals only 2 seasons later. Here's the thing about the successor duo. Boozer and Williams were really good, yet really mid compared to what they were up against. That includes the 2007 Spurs, NBA champions, 2008 Lakers, 2 wins away from being NBA champions, 2009 Lakers, NBA champions, and the 2010 Lakers, NBA champions. A cruelly hilarious detail upon reviewing those years is noticing they won 1 less game against LA each postseason, hustling backwards. So now you already understand a little over a decade of Utah Jazz basketball, losing to the best or one of the best teams almost every single year. Of course, stars only ever possess so much patience, including Carlos Boozer, who moved on to what were supposed to be greener pastures with D Rose in Chicago. Left to fend for himself for not even a full season, Deron Williams both did jack shit, predictably being moved to the Brooklyn Nets, with Utah's front office begrudgingly needing to start over again after merely 4 playoff runs. This brings us to the ugliest stretch of Jazz basketball since before they drafted John Stockton, basically the beginning of their history in Salt Lake City. Luckily, the same summer Boozer split town, pick 9 of the draft granted Gordon Hayward, who would live up to the potential of a top 10 selection, a very acceptable name to place next to the likes of Al Jefferson and Paul Millsap. That specific trio peaked in 2012 with a playoff appearance and absolutely no other notable success, which ended up being okay because in the 13 draft, a future Hall of Famer would grace the roster near the very end of the first round. Rudy Gobert took time to shine, no doubt. However, it came together perfectly as once Hayward left through free agency in 2017, Donovan Mitchell picked up the mantle almost immediately with a Rookie of the Year worthy campaign, which got murky. But hey, look, Utah's third recognizable duo, also possibly their most unfortunate. Debatable, I don't know. It's just actually ridiculous how consistently this issue has plagued the franchise. Malone and Stockton lost to nearly all the best teams from 97 to 03. Williams and Boozer practically amounted to Kobe and Gasol's warm-ups for 3 of their 4 postseasons. Then Gobert and Mitchell started out similarly, immediately losing to Paul and Harden's Rockets in 18 and 19. They were young though, with plenty of time and a very bright future it seemed, right? Well, the 2020 bubble happened where they brutally forfeited a 3-1 lead to the future NBA champion Nuggets core, which provided us a scene displaying just how tired D. Mitch was in only year 3. Year 4 brought forth a nasty outing to the Clippers, who lost Kawhi Leonard midway through the series, a point where Rudy Gobert being picked on became the narrative. Year 5 showed something very similar, so despite him having won 3 depoys through 5 seasons, an appropriate question was being posed. Were Mitchell and Gobert already at their ceilings? I mean, during 2020, they were low-key dark horse contenders, and in 21 probably should have made a conference finals appearance given the circumstances. Now you're losing to the Mavs without Luka Doncic? I mean, damn, at least the other duos were going out to GOATs and top 10 guys. Either way, 2022 became the last straw of a movie the organization had seen on repeat. A duo that simply did not have the potential and or support pieces to eventually get the job done. Knowing this, while the prices were high, once again, that big red restart button. Gobert sent to one place, Mitch in another. Boom. In general, you just received almost everything relevant to the Utah Jazz over the past 20 seasons. Being that Stockton and Malone span all the way back to the mid-80s, their entire history is damn near composed of 3-star duos who either came short or well short of bringing the franchise its first title. It just be like that sometimes. One day in the offseason, we'll examine what happened from the mid-80s to early 2000s, cause you simply do not see duos thug it out anywhere near that long these days without a title to show for. In any case, after hearing about Jordan Clarkson's triple-double being a record-breaking one, I was just going, you know what? Utah does seem to be one of those franchises, and in fact, they are one of those franchises. They've had some good players, they've had some good times, but as you see here, boy, you sure can sum up a lot of their history very, very easily. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe while hitting the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.